spent the last 2 weeks just totally immersing myself into this entire subject. Like, I watched, I think, every YouTube video out there. I thought there'd be actual books out there, but there's no books. I can't believe that there is absolutely no books on Jacques the Whipper. I just,
Jacques,
I continue
we
to,
were supposed to be doing Jack the Ripper,
but I made
not
notes
Jacques.
on. Well, that's out the window.
Well, in that case, dude, have I got a story for you?
Do tell.
Picture it. Picture it. We're in Whitechapel, a rundown part of London in 1888. Over the course of 9 weeks, a bunch of women get murdered brutally. And
5 to 11.
five accepted, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, over the course of 9 weeks, five brutal murders of women happened in this one tiny little geographic location, Whitechapel, which is a small part of London. And then the killer disappears, apparently without a trace. So yeah, that's Jack the Ripper, the legend. In case any of the aliens in the audience don't know.
Aliens or lizard people, or it's a very quick overview with that. Actually sums it up very nicely. So good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no, there's way more meat to get into.
Definitely.
But,
such as
yeah.
well, we could talk about his very first victim, Mary Nichols. Mary Nichols. She was the first victim, and her body was actually discovered by a guy named Charles Cross. I kind of want to keep this name in your head, Charles Cross. He discovered her. Another fellow by the name of Robert Paul came along, and then they went and found a cop by the name of John Neal. Good guy. I don't know. Probably corrupt back then. Just saying. Now here's the thing about her. It was such a brutal murder that her throat was slit almost to her spine. Oh, by the way, we're getting graphic with this, so if you can't handle it, go watch one of the other episodes.
Yeah.
But like, not really much was taken at that time. Like, it was a murder.
A very graphic murder, which okay. In their defense, this is Whitechapel in 1888. Murder was not unusual in Whitechapel in 88. In fact, the best thing I read about it is murder was not unusual. The butchering of the women was. But again, at this point we're at one body, and she was mutilated, she was butchered, but not horribly so yet by comparison. But that brings up a really good point.
Yeah, if you kind of follow the murder victims, he definitely evolves.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, and like she was Friday, August 31st at about 3:40 a.m. she was discovered. So early morning.
Yeah, and so far it's just another murder. But what happens 9 days later?
Oh, well, no. In that case, I believe we have the discovery of Annie Chapman.
Correct. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. This is where it gets juicy, and not that's probably the wrong term to be using when we're talking about. Yeah. There's actually witnesses that have Annie Chapman talking to a man in a black overcoat and a black hat.
Yeah. And he had a generally shabby, genteel appearance.
And what, pray tell, is a genteel appearance?
So, from what I can gather from the context of where I read it, it was essentially a gentleman in like worn down clothing.
Oh, I like that.
So like
that's fashionable.
Picture your professor from like your community college that has a corduroys jacket with the elbow patches.
Jason Lee in Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. Look at his character. Has elbow patches.
Okay.
Anyway, we're not talking about Mallrats yet. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, Annie Chapman, her throat was, of course, severely severed, like not severed, but was severed deeply. Those are the words I'm
Yes.
looking for. But yeah, something else, some other stuff happened to her, and her abdomen was
Yeah.
completely cut open, and her
Mhm.
intestines were thrown out and draped across her shoulders, like a continental soldier.
Yeah.
We're getting grisly.
And it only gets worse from here, guys. It only gets worse from here.
It really does. Like I said, if queasy, go watch one of the other episodes. Please watch the other episodes. There was a little bit more that happened to her. Are you frozen up? Oh dear, looks like you froze up. It's going to be one of those nights. Does nobody want us talking about Jack the Ripper? Is somebody trying to silence us? Is that what's going on? Just going to check the feed. Sorry about this. Technical difficulties. It's always enjoyable. And he's back.
Yeah, that sucks. Sorry.
See? The lizard people are trying to silence us about Jack the Ripper.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they try to silence us. So,
Now, we just got done with Annie Chapman having her intestines thrown across her shoulder. Anything else,
Yep.
Grizzly?
there was other things done to her, but I did not write down most of that.
Okay, her uterus was completely removed.
Yep. I left it unmutilated in my notes.
You see, this is where the doctor that examined the body figured started to put it together that the killer has to have some knowledge of the human body, like some wherewithal of anatomy and.
Yeah, that was one of the really popular theories because because it definitely looks like they have their understanding of anatomy, which brings some of the early suspects that we will get to later, I'm sure. Which doctors and butchers and somebody with barbers, even somebody with anatomy background.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody go to go and get his doctorate and everything, study for like 9 years, then go be a barber.
Well, no, back in the day, barbers did a lot of simple surgeries.
Right.
That's why the barbers have the spinning ribbon that's red and white.
Yeah, I remember that now. Didn't I learn that off of your channel?
Probably not, but you might have learned it talking to me over dumb shit before.
Probably. But they did actually discover something nearby too. They found a leather apron.
Yes, they
and
did. And it had stuff scrawled on it.
Mm-hmm. But this is where the newspaper started calling him the Whitechapel Killer and the Leather Apron Murderer. The names are all right, but they don't exactly zing like Jack the Ripper.
Which actually brings up a really good point. Do we want to get into the letters now or wait till later?
We'll just kind of keep it going in order because, after I'm totally not looking back at the name. After the death of Annie Chapman, the Central News Agency of London actually did receive a letter. Well, supposedly they received a ton of letters.
Yes.
College kids in 1888 had nothing better to do than crank letter people.
Well, let's be honest, it wasn't college kids; it was everybody.
Yeah.
It was people. If we were back in the time period, we would have been among the thousands that were sending letters. They got thousands of letters between the police and the thing, hundreds of them claiming to be the killer.
And so far they say only one of them holds up in our
Yep.
timeline so far, I should say. And of course, I've always liked the name of this letter.
Yes. Yeah, I have the letters further down in my notes.
It was it's referred to as the Dear Boss letter.
Yes. Do you have it written out, or would you like me to read it?
I never ever write down an entire letter worth of stuff.
Well, and because I type, I copy and pasted it. Okay, so the news agency is like, this is where we get the notorious name Jack the Ripper from, the Dear Boss letter. It was received Central News Agency of London, dated for the 25th of September 1888. And the letter reads as follows. Dear Boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about the about Leather Apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them until I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You'll soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. Ha ha. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back until I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get right back, get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. P.S. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it. No luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now. Ha ha. Yeah, and that's Jack the Ripper. That's where we get him.
For one, he named himself, conceited prick.
Yes.
And for two, I just want to point out that not once but twice he actually wrote out "ha ha." He lulled. He lulled in 1888.
Yes. Actually, that if you read some correspondence from then, that wasn't that unusual. But just from reading this letter right here, you can tell I'm looking at it. The spelling's all correct. The grammar is as correct as you'd expect in the late 1800s. It was pretty normal for then. This person sounds educated.
Very well done. But here's the thing that's always bothered me about this, because like everybody thinks that they're looking for a doctor or a butcher or something like that right now. How would he not know that the blood wouldn't congeal?
Yeah,
that's.
It seems like that was a little gratuitous, almost like that was meant to be in there.
And he even says, like, I hear that they're looking for a doctor now. Ha ha. Yeah. And just like, but no, I guess they were after doctors and butchers and lawyers and such. Mama, don't let your cowboys grow up to be don't let your cowboys grow up to be cowboys. Oh God, this is why I don't do country.
There. Yeah. So this was an incredibly well written letter. Great writing and spelling and grammar for the time period, especially from somebody living apparently in Whitechapel.
And a rundown. Yep.
Yeah.
But then, 2 days later, after that, of course, one of the most famous events happens.
Talking about the double.
The double event.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, the first victim was Elizabeth Stride. Now, once again, we have witnesses that seen her with a man about 5'5", all dark clothing, and a moustache. I have no clue why I put a note right here. Now, this was also overheard. Apparently, the man said, "You would say anything but your prayers." Now, here's the thing. Like, is he just a mark being like, "Yo, you dirty little prostitute"? You would say anything except your prayers. Because don't forget, every victim here is a prostitute. That goes into the theory section later.
Yeah, but there's also caveats to make with those notes later as well. But yeah, it definitely does sound like a John being dirty, or it could be somebody being contemptuous of them, like many serial killers are. I mean, Gary Ridgway very much hated prostitutes, yet he couldn't stop hiring them and then killing them.
I'm sure we'll get to him someday.
Maybe he's not that exciting.
Now, Elizabeth Stride's body was actually found by a fella named Lewis. I guess he was on a horse-drawn cart, and all of a sudden the horse just wouldn't keep advancing. Once again, it's dark out. Now,
yes.
Here's the thing. There's an excellent possibility that Lewis actually scared Jack off after he did his killing, because it's just like the body didn't have its usual mutilations or anything like that. Just, and that was about it. Where am I at here? I lost myself in my notes. Take over for a second. Save me.
Yeah, no, early morning hours, approximately 1 a.m. She was found. I was off of Berner Street, which is in Whitechapel, obviously. Yeah, she was unmutilated, as you said, which brings up the really super popular theory that the killer is interrupted, especially considering he went a few streets over and killed again.
Yeah, a mere 45 minutes later, Catherine Edos was found. Of course, she had the usual Ripper MO. The entrails are over her shoulders. A portion of her kidney was missing. Now, remember what the letter said about, maybe clipping the ears?
Well, it said it was going to cut it off and send it to the police.
Yeah, well, parts of her ears were missing.
Yeah, but
now don't forget. Don't forget, at this time, these letters haven't been released to the public yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be Jack the Ripper themselves, or somebody with a very intimate knowledge of the letter itself.
Yes, but we'll have to discuss that letter more later.
Mm-hmm.
Also, with the brutality of the killings in general, Jack the Ripper, yes, he has there are the basic MOs, the deep cuts across the throat, as well as the disemboweling, but all the killings have chaotic aspects. It wouldn't be unusual to expect maybe a cut ear at some point. Time-wise, it's a little close to the letter, yes.
Yeah, I always found it too weird of a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I'm gonna cut ears, and all of a sudden ears are cut.
Yeah, but he also went a little overboard with Edos, like more so than the others. Like, I've seen this one. Like, this is one of the ones I remember from when I was little, like seeing listed, but actually, listed as quite a weird. But once you get into it, like, he got cut off after he killed Elizabeth Stride. Went a few streets over, killed Catherine Edos, took his time there, and overdid the mutilation. Like, it was to the point where, like, I this is exactly what I wrote. It's like throat was cut ear to ear. A lot of unspeakable things were done to her body, and I'm not going to repeat those. Let's just say butchered with prejudice. Like, way worse than the others. And I'm not gonna. Yeah, if you want to read about it, go look it up yourself. I don't want to speak about it. The things he did to that body.
And this isn't even the worst part yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's all horrific, but
it is.
It just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, but yeah. That brings us up to the
Oh.
second letter, right?
1
The
second.
postcard. Okay.
There was actually a piece of a bloody apron found. Once again with the apron. It was believed that old Jack there used it to clean off his knife. There was some graffiti. The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing. I still don't know what that means. I've heard it 10,000 times. I'm just like, the Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing. Is it?
Well, once we get through the official canonical timeline, I have some thoughts on that.
Okay, yeah, because my brain can't comprehend it. Or does it? We'll get back to it.
Yes, like I said, I do have notes on that for later.
But check this out. Pretty good evidence there. You know, piece of graffiti. Police erased it. It was written in chalk, so it won't take much, but
yeah.
Still, it's just like...
Yeah, but the real question is, like, one of the reasons I think it got erased and what I've read is there's a lot of controversy as to whether it was written by a killer or written by somebody who happened to be there, like, you know, witness it, or it could just be up to plain old, good old prejudice as opposed to actually any real connection to the thing.
Yeah, Whitechapel was kind of riff with anti-Semitism, so...
It's also riff with anti-Irishmanism, too.
And anti just about every ism.
Yeah. Whitechapel was kind of a hell on earth, actually.
Yep.
Because we're talking about 1888. If you go back to like 1800, London was like one of the biggest, if not the biggest city in the world, at about 1 million people. At 1888, it was 5 million people.
Which is nothing nowadays, but back then, that's a ton of people.
No, like, also, they're all crammed in the same size area, and you have to figure they're running everything off of the Industrial Revolution. That means there's coal everywhere, there's coal smoke, all kinds of things. There's pollution. They're still using horses, so, like, not even joking, 300,000 horses were in use at any given day in London at that point in time, which they dumped out 1,000 tons of crap every day onto the streets. Plumbing was non-existent. They were still using cesspits, which is kind of an open septic tank that holds the crap for it to be hauled off somewhere else later. Jobs were not available in many parts of the city, especially like Whitechapel. So I mean, a lot of people they did what they always
that's
do.
why there was a lot of ladies of the night.
Yeah, that they did what they have to survive. They fell onto prostitution, recreational alcohol, and violence and prejudice, which is where the angriness towards the Jewish population, which was and the Irish population, where it came from, because they were both mass immigrants. The Jews were fleeing Russia at the point in time, and Irishmen were fleeing poverty in Ireland.
But I want to go back to that recreational alcohol for a second there. What's that?
Well, it's basically you can't drink the water because the water will kill you, so you drink the alcohol every day, all day.
Yes, I see nothing's changed since 1888.
Well, the water quality is theoretically better, so we could drink more water if we wanted to.
You don't know where I live.
Well, I promise you're not going to get chloria. Yeah, whatever.
Don't make promises you can't keep. Anyway. But yeah, after the oh, sorry.
No, go for it. Like, I believe we're heading in the same place. So
yeah, after the old double event, what happened?
Oh, good old Saucy Jack contacted the media again.
I love that, Saucy Jackie.
Yeah, no, this time he sent a postcard and say, I was not coddling dear old boss when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Saucy Jack's work tomorrow. Tomorrow double event this time. Number one squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off. Had not time to get ears off for police. Thanks for keeping the last letter back till I got to work again. Jack the Ripper.
I don't know why, and it's horrible that I laugh at this, but I just picture Jack the Ripper sitting around being like, a Saucy Jack. A Saucy Jack. Jack the Ripper,
Well,
a saucy Jack.
yeah.
I
No, I have. This was definitely it was written by the same handwriting as the first letter, well, the one that
mhm.
announced as Jack the Ripper, and it was delivered to the same place, Central News Agency. Um, one downside is it was postmarked 24 hours after the killings took place, which means a lot of people knew about the killings already.
Yeah. So once again, it could have been the college bored college kids sitting being like, "Hey, do you guys think we can make it so the newspaper will call us Saucy Jack instead of Jack the Ripper?"
Well, I mean, he did sign it off as Jack the Ripper again.
Mm-hmm. But you still
Let's
mentioned
see.
Saucy Jack.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It sounds like a kid's restaurant to me. Hey, welcome to Saucy Jack. I have no clue what accent that was. I apologize to everybody for that accent.
As you should.
But yeah,
However, now we have a bit of cooling off period, eh?
yeah, I don't have dates, but how long till George Lusk got his little package?
Oh, the Lusk letter, that was not long actually.
Yeah,
I don't have a date for that.
commonly referred to as
Yeah, it was within a couple days of the postcard. It was like within a week of that.
Yeah, and it's commonly referred to as the From Hell
Yes.
letter because it's posted from hell.
Yes.
What do we have inside there?
Well, we had a letter that read okay, a letter that was barely readable in the first place.
Mhm.
And it says it's postmarked from hell. And then it goes, Mr. Lusk, sir, I sent you half the kidney I took from one woman, preserved it for you. To other piece, I fried and ate it. Was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that I took it out. Took it out if you only wait a while longer. Signed, Catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk. Okay.
Believe it or not. Okay, I was just gonna say, believe it or not, that's actually in perfect English. Trek is just having a stroke.
No, like like there's no like it was so bad. Like the grammar and spelling is so bad in this. Sir spelled SOR, kidneys capital K, then IDNE. Preserved is PRASARVED. Like none of this is this. The person can probably barely speak English, let alone write it.
Yeah, it's a complete mess. The only interesting thing about the From Hell letter is the kidney was confirmed to be a human.
Yes, it was. So, and there is a victim with missing kidney.
Mm-hmm. But it just seems so. Why would he be so elegant and then all of a sudden, did he get drunk and send this one? Was he just like had the kidney sitting around and like, how I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send it to them. That's gonna be right.
Well, to be fair, the kidney was preserved in alcohol, so I mean, no. Seriously though, very clearly two different writers. The Jack the Ripper, the letters, and the From Hell letter are written very differently. The Jack the Ripper letters, very clearly intelligent. There's a point, perfect spelling, better grammar, sounds very educated. It's coherent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The From Hell letter, no.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It is a mess. It's barely readable, and it was harder to read that 2.5 run-on sentences than it was to read either of the other letters in their entirety. And like even modern handwriting analysis has shown like the first 2 letters written by the same hand, third one doesn't match those.
But the real question is, who has an extra kidney to just send in the mail? You know. Well, I guess technically we all have an extra one, but you know what I mean.
Actually, that brings up a really good point as to why it is believed that this is probably the only authentic contact between Jack the Ripper and the media/police.
Oh, you think that the From Hell one is real, but the other 2 are fake?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
I never even thought about that. I always went with the From Hell one being fake, and the other
From
2
Hell
being.
one. Yeah. Well, okay. The From Hell one shows a level of not stupidity but uneducated, and has a kidney that is a human kidney that would suggest that it probably the undereducated is definitely the kind of demographic that would be living, working, and killing in Whitechapel in the 1880s. The human kidney is a damn near insaleable piece. I mean, somebody that uneducated is not going to have access to a kidney unless they took it out of somebody.
Whereas I never.
Yeah. Whereas the Jack the Ripper letters. Yeah, Jack the Ripper letters. They're perfectly. They're like again, like you can read those without any problem. I mean, language has not drifted at all. They're perfectly. They're dictated. The words are spelled right. The grammar is equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly somebody educated, which probably means they didn't live in Whitechapel, which actually is one of the main theories. Is that it's actually one of the reporters. I have his name somewhere, but I don't really give a damn enough about what his name was. Said that supposedly he claimed that he wrote them like 40 years later. He admitted to it on Stepdad or something like that. And you know why he wrote them? To drum up newspaper sales.
There we go.
And it's not that unusual considering there are literally thousands of letters coming in with connections to this thing, with hundreds of people claiming to be Jack the Ripper.
Yep.
And see, the other thing that gives me the From Hell letter, the reason I think it's real, is because after the Jack the Ripper letters were released to the public, suddenly most of the people claiming to be being the killer suddenly donned the moniker of Jack the Ripper, even if they had crappy spelling and grammar afterwards. This one, he does not embrace the Jack the Ripper thing at all. He's from hell.
But we should probably move on to our final victim.
Final canon victim.
Yeah, I was just about to say. Now these are they're referred to the canonical 5. There were actually 6 other ones that they say possibly could have been Jack the Ripper, but
and more really. If you get the deeper you get into the rabbit hole, the more there are.
Yeah. But so on to Mary Kelly, and I'm just gonna say this right now. There are pictures that you can look up of the murder.
Yeah.
Well, not of the actual murder, of the crime scene, and look them up at your own risk.
Yeah.
Because those will fucking haunt you.
She was treated worse than Eddowes was.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddowes is already at my point where I don't want to know anymore.
It's she was seen with a man before. There's a witness, plenty of witnesses, but no conviction. This he was described as being 5'6", you know, always in that 5'5", 5'6" area. Dark clothing, mustache, and the witness, of course, let's get into that anti-Semitism, said was, quote, of Jewish appearance, unquote. Now, yeah.
Good old Whitechapel.
Now, here's the thing. Speaking of good old Whitechapel, neighbors actually heard the murder of Mary Kelly. They heard her screaming, And crap like that was just so common that they just went back to bed.
Yep. Oh yeah, like I looked at, like, I couldn't get really good news reports from then because I mean obviously there's one thing in 1888 that everybody paid attention to, and it wasn't the total number of murders. But
Mhm.
like just in like the list of the other, like the deep rabbit hole possibilities, just in Whitechapel during that time period, there was like 20 murders, like female, like women murders.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just,
yeah.
it was not a safe place to be.
But
So murder
ju-
was not unusual.
so yeah, we'll get into a few details of Mary Kelly's death. So of course the throat was cut. There's entrails everywhere. There's blood everywhere. There's pieces of flesh everywhere. Like, she was eviscerated.
Yeah.
Like I said, look up at the pictures at your own risk. Like, I remember seeing them like 20 years ago and not really, not really connecting to them. And then like a week ago, I was just like, hold on a second. This was a human being. I tried to make sense of the pictures, and it's, once you realize that shit's real,
Yeah.
now we know we're definitely dealing with a really sick fuck.
Yeah, well, there's also a couple other things to note with this particular murder. I mean, besides the fact that it caps off the canonical 5,
Mhm.
she was also in her apartment where
Mhm.
she was discovered.
Well,
Which,
wasn't it a
which
room like you pay by the night?
I believe it was her actual room though. She was but she
Oh,
like paid
okay.
for visitors by the night.
Because yeah, it was the person, the landlord, the owner, that discovered the body when they came around looking
Yeah.
for rent.
Yeah, but so this takes us into the realm of he had time to take his time
Yep.
and he had privacy, which means like he could be a lot more slow and methodical and do a lot more things than he could if, say, he's trying to do stuff out in the open like he has with the others.
Yeah, it was. It's not a pretty sight.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I think that about wraps up his killing spree.
Yeah, the canonical 5 at the very least.
Uh-huh.
And then mysteriously, no more murders happened.
Like
Also should be
magic.
noted is, yeah. Also should be noted that there was about 5 weeks between this murder and the double murder. That's a long time for him to be silent, considering all the other murders took place over the course of like 2.5 weeks.
Well, that's just it. All of these murders took place over the course of like 10 weeks.
Yeah, and
like
that's
2.5
including that
months.
last one. And that's including that last one. It took 5 weeks between the murders 4 and 5. So, like, okay, so here we get into the territory of is it really like a serial killer or spree killer?
A serial killer, he kills more than one. He doesn't have to have like a timeline. If you kill one a year, still a serial killer.
Yeah, but that's still assuming there's time there. Spree killing is kind of more in like continuous, and that's what those first batch were. They were like a few days later, a few days later, a few days later. But yeah, like this whole thing is just a huge mess.
But we'll run through some suspects here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about good old Charles Cross. Remember that name?
Vaguely, yes, vaguely.
He was the guy that actually found the very first victim, if you recall. Now he lived in the area, so he knew it well. It let him, slink in the shadows. And he oddly enough gave police a fake name.
Yes.
He fit the size and build of the Jack sightings.
Yeah.
But there's only one problem. The second fellow that came along, Robert Paul, he said that the body was cold to the touch. Meaning that Charles Cross, unless of course he like did the kill and then came back, or took a walk and then came back, it kind of rules him out. And on top of that, there's zero motive for him. But he was a suspect.
I beg to differ. I think there's a lot of motive for him.
Do tell.
Because, well, he's the Charles Cross. Actually, Cross was, if I remember reading correct, it was actually his stepfather's last name from when he was little. His actual name is Charles Allen Lechmere. He was a local. He found one of the bodies. He worked early mornings. He knew the area well. He, right beforehand, he had a major life upheaval. He essentially lost custody of his family right before the killing started.
Really?
Including his children. And there's a lot of rumors as to why, but that was never clear. And all the murders took place either on his route to work or near his mother's house, where he had visited his daughter there the same night, which happened to be the double murder night, and that was his first day off in months.
Do his holidays line up with the murders? All the murders?
No, all the.
What am I gonna do today? Wait. I could watch some TV, maybe read a book, go murder a prostitute. I just don't know what to do today.
No, the rest of the murders line up with the time that he'd be walking to work in the morning. Because he drove a cart.
I had no
horse
clue.
Cart. Yeah, he drove a horse cart starting at 4 a.m., which means he'd be walking to work at like 3 or the 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning every day.
Well, we're putting him right back into the old suspect pile.
Yes, and yeah, he gave the police an incorrect name, Charles Cross, and as I said, that was actually, from my understanding, that was actually the name of his stepfather's last name when he was little, and that's why he gave us an alias as the excuse. But yeah, no, Charles Cross is Lechmere is definitely way up there.
How about George Chapman?
George Chapman, I believe boyfriend of one of the victims, right?
Pardon?
Please continue. I don't have him in my notes.
Well, old Georgie boy here, he trained as a surgeon. He fit the physical descriptions.
Oh, wait, never mind.
At one point he assaulted his wife. She found a knife under the pillow. He told her he meant to cut her head off, showed her in the room where he would bury her. He lived in the area. He moves to America. The murders all of a sudden stop. And he died by hanging for poisoning his wives. So we know he'll kill. But it seems very odd to for him to switch up his MO, to go from stabbing and slashing and all of this to all of a sudden poisoning.
Yeah, that one's tenuous at best.
Like, I mean, a murder's a murder, right? Murder's got a murder, I guess.
Yep. Do you have Joseph Barrett on your list of suspects?
I do not.
Oh, wow. He was actually the boyfriend of Mary Jane Kelly.
Oh, okay.
And supposedly he was very unhappy about her, what she did to make money on the side. And
so he hates prostitutes.
Yes. And apparently been heard threatening prostitutes in general. Supposedly, so he came up as a possible suspect after the fact because he was direct connection to one of the victims, and he was publicly known to hate prostitutes.
But would he go out and kill four or more prostitutes and then his girlfriend? Wouldn't.
Maybe the theory here, I don't know. I don't think it's a good theory, but the theory here is that he was killing the other prostitutes in an attempt to scare her straight.
Yeah, that would make sense. And like well, not him, but Jack the Ripper, completely eviscerated Kelly. So who knows?
It was definitely he was most angry at that point.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
that's a very interesting theory.
Yeah.
Have
No, go for it. What do you got?
you heard of Dr. Francis Tumblety?
I have heard of him. Not a whole lot about him though.
Now this drives me insane because I watched a documentary like 10 years ago on this guy. And you think I can find it now?
Mm.
And it's extremely convincing.
Yeah, I mean, just the short couple notes I have about him definitely is pretty fairly convincing too.
Mm-hmm. Now, for one, he absolutely hated women, which seems to be a common thing in 1888, apparently. He had a collection of body parts.
Yes, he did. And he was violent. So,
he was violent?
Hating women and hating women, collecting body parts. Violence is not the weirdest part of that.
Yeah, and he was a really strong suspect, but unfortunately, the police just didn't have enough evidence to book him. And then he made a run.
I'll go for it. What did you say?
And then he made
for it.
Oh yeah, he made a run for it. The murder stopped after he moved to France, and he was constantly changing his name to travel.
There. Another thing he had going against him is he was an American in London in the 1880s.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that helped neither. Should have said you're a Canadian there, eh, bud?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think Canadian would have helped either. Like, it does sound a lot like Whitechapel had a lot of problems. They were blaming them on anybody they could.
Oh, no, there, eh? Everybody loves a Canadian. We make maple syrup.
You have David Cohen on your list?
I do not.
Yeah, another local. The links with him are tenuous. There wasn't a whole lot I read that like really shouted out about him. But one thing that he does have going very hard against him is that he was violent, well known for violent and all that stuff. And the murder stopped at the same time he was sent away to a lunatic asylum. Conley Hatch Lunatic Asylum. When he was incarcerated there, the murder stopped.
What was his name again?
David Cohen.
Were there more people sent to an asylum?
I'm sure there were. It was the 1880s.
Because, I have one more that I think is the strongest suspect. And I'm hoping I didn't mix up any names.
Oh, what's the one?
Aaron Kosmitsky?
Oh, yes, Aaron. I have him in my list somewhere. So yes, I know Aaron.
Well, I'll save him.
He was very popular.
Yeah. Very popular among us ripperologists.
Oh, please never call me that ever again.
All right. So his dad was a doctor, so he may have gained some knowledge from his dear old daddy. He hated women. Once again, we're seeing that theme. He would later on, with more understanding, after he was dead, probably, he'd be diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He had a very violent Polish background. When he moved to England, he was homeless. He was eating dumpsters, garbages, whatever he could find. Where was I? Now he was unemployed, but people, I don't know how he became like a barber. His name and the word barber comes up a lot.
I also see him listed as Taylor.
Yeah.
But
the fumes in the hat. Mad Hatter. And a weird coincidence, he got locked up in an asylum and the murder stopped. Now, this is.
However,
Oh, go ahead.
Although the murder stopped, then I don't think from what I've read, he wasn't connected with the murders at that time. It wasn't until years later people started going through the evidence and wait, it stopped when?
Yeah.
Because it was like 6 years later that he was first publicly put forward as a suspect.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the real interesting part and why I think it definitely puts him in the top contender for being old saucy Jack. In 2007, now, Catherine Eels had a shawl. Did you hear about this?
I don't think so.
Now, the DNA testing actually lined up with a relative of Aaron Kosminski.
Yeah, wait, never mind. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
But there is zero definitive proof that it actually belonged to Catherine. And literally, after over, 120 years, hundreds of people have handled this shawl.
Yeah.
So you could probably pull tons of DNA from it and find probably somebody related to Charles Cross or Dr. Francis or George Chapman or...
Yeah. Now, if I remember...
But I definitely think, since how that's like the only DNA that they've picked up off of it, kind of deal. The only ones that they announced, I think that's definitely a smoking gun a little bit. On top of that, he was actually arrested and picked out of a lineup. So why wasn't he arrested? You may be asking. Why wasn't he thrown in prison? Why was he not called Jack the Ripper? The witness that picked him out of the lineup said that he would not testify against a fellow Jew.
Yep. Now, if which brings up a whole conspiracy that they have with that blah blah blah. I'm not going to give a whole lot of credit to any anti-Semitism personally.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
Now, if I remember correctly, isn't he the one whose great-great-grandson is that made a literal TV show about trying to prove that he was the Ripper?
How long ago was that show made? Did I watch that over 20 years ago? A few years ago?
No, it's just a few years ago. I think it was like 2018.
Huh. I think I missed that one.
Yeah, one of these and I'm pretty sure it's the this guy, because he used DNA evidence to try to link him. And I'm looking for it, and I'm not finding it easily.
I couldn't find the one on Dr. Francis Tumblety.
Yeah, but apparently, oh gosh, I really hope I'm not getting the wrong person. But yeah, the shawl there, they used the DNA to connect his great-great-great-grandfather to the killings, and then made a History Channel show to try to prove it. I didn't watch it. I only found out about it yesterday or the day before. So I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm going to guess that he didn't do it conclusively, or else we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah. Otherwise, this would probably be a 5-minute episode.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've covered a lot of the basic ones. Do you have any more base options to cover?
Nah, those are like the big 4 that I went for, so.
Okay, so let's get into some of the weird ones. Like really weird ones, or conspiracy theory type ones.
Yep.
Okay, well, there's the elephant in the room, the royal connection.
The very first one I have written down.
Would you like to go? Would you like to deal with it?
Well, you see, back then, a lot of the royal family liked to bang. So, having how do I put this? A child of a prostitute being in line for the throne does not look good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. So we're going the full conspiracy route.
Oh, yeah.
So what? Queen Victoria's grandson Albert.
Albert, there we go.
Yes. Although I saw him listed as Eddie a lot, and I don't understand that. I could not understand why they kept listing him as Eddie, but his name was Albert.
And he's part of the royal family, so it wouldn't be Eddie, it would be Edward.
Yeah, but well, I mean, I guess if Eddie was a nickname, Albert would be his real name. They're weird, but yeah. So anyway, Queen Victoria's grandson was one of the suspects, and so you're going with the conspiracy angle. So you're talking about Annie Crook, then, right?
Annie Crook. I know that name. My notes are very sparse on this because I wasn't planning on spending much time on this.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So if we're like, one of the theories is that there's a great big royal cover-up.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And this is one of the Albert explanations. And yeah, so apparently Albert fell in love with a lady of the night from Whitechapel, and married her. She was Catholic, and her name was Annie Crook. And supposedly he fathered a child with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then the theory here is that the monarchy is like, no, this can't be happening. So they masterminded the forcing splitting of the couple and the elimination of anybody who knew.
Oh, it's anybody who knew. You see,
the other 5 acquaintances.
most of the conspiracy theories I went with were basically any prostitute that ever had whoever got royally screwed by the royal family.
Honestly, then they probably would have not stopped at 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But okay, so that's one theory right there. Is that Albert was in line for the throne potentially, and that he fathered a child with a Catholic woman from Whitechapel, and so they had to eliminate her and everybody who knew. However, there are other royal theories. Another one that involves Albert is that Albert got syphilis, went a little cuckoo because they didn't know how to cure syphilis at the time, and syphilis rots the fuck out of your brain.
Yep.
And so he started killing prostitutes then. And yet, third royal theory, yeah, and a third royal theory, it was actually the Queen's surgeon who did all the killing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, like the royal family basically hired their surgeon to become an assassin.
Or he did it on his own. Yeah, because he came into the rise in the hierarchy of the monarchy's stuff in the early 1870s, and was cited as a Ripper suspect. That was Sir William Gull. And whether he was a lone assailant or a part of a wider conspiracy, nobody really knew. Yeah.
Next theory.
Okay, you got one?
I got one. I kind of want to save mine for the end, though. I had one more. I forgot to write it down.
Okay. Lewis Carroll?
No clue.
Okay. So you've heard of Alice in Wonderland, right?
I'm absolutely going to hate that you're going to start talking about this, and then I'll be like, oh, right. I remember. It's going to happen.
Well, you know Alice in Wonderland, right?
Yeah.
The theory is that the writer, Lewis Carroll, was actually Jack the Ripper. And that he left clues in some of his poetry.
I'm looking into this.
There's a book from 1996 that talks about it. It doesn't have a really strong, compelling thing, but I mean,
It's still out there enough it'll captivate me for a while.
yeah, exactly. It was like, ooh, like I found out about this, and like I gotta read that book now. At least listen to it. This is gonna
Yeah.
be interesting. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, let's see here. What about Jill? Got that
Jill
one?
the Ripper? That was the third
Yep.
one I forgot to write down. I've also heard Jane the Ripper.
Yes. Yeah. So this theory basically posits that it was a female killer, not a male.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people just say female, not a male, and Jane generally ended at that. One of the theories is it's 1888, and a woman really wanted to become a doctor. So she practiced on prostitutes.
Okay, that's a interesting theory.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is the physical descriptions of Jack the Ripper when this man in a full overcoat and everything, the hat with the mustache, and approximately 5'5". Those very well could be a disguise to disguise the sex.
Yeah, don't forget, like in plays, women weren't allowed on stages back then, so they had to dress men as women, and hence London was down with drag back in 1888.
To be fair, a lot of Europe was in the like 1400s on.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have male actors. That's why they're eunuchs, and why there's those men that they castrate so they could sing soprano and stuff. And
yeah, bad time to be an actor. Anyway, what's next?
H.H. Holmes.
I think I know this. I know the name.
Yeah, you definitely do. He was the World's Fair serial killer in Chicago.
Right.
Made up the crazy Hotel of Death.
Yeah.
So, oh wait, no, this is the one who had the great grandson, Jeff Mudgett. He was trying to get the DNA compared to it. Because so okay, for those of you who don't know, H.H. Holmes in the Chicago World Fair around 1900, in the 1880s, 1900, somewhere in that area, he built essentially a hotel of death.
We will definitely cover it someday.
Yes. And so one of the theories I had read years ago, and then I read again recently, is that he was also Jack the Ripper. And then he left after started to get a little bit of heat and reinvented himself in Chicago.
Yeah.
Although, if this were the case, would mean that he traveled to London anyways, because he was his actual name was Herman Webster Mudgett.
And with a name like that, you're becoming a serial killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got any more?
Oh, I do, but I'm not. Let's see here. Artist. Oh, Francis Thompson. You got him?
Nope.
Okay, he was a preacher, another American preacher. But he had really rather technically he was a poet.
Did he have a collection of human parts?
Doesn't list it as having some. No.
Okay, so yeah, it must be. Anyway.
Yeah. No, but the reason he came under suspicion because he was poet, preacher, and had some really radical views. Fire and brimstone kind of, views. It's kind of harsh for a Catholic, to be honest.
Fire and brimstone, Catholicism, that's not harsh.
Yeah, but like definitely other parts that hit those things harder. But supposedly all the crimes were committed on Catholic saints' days.
Is that true?
I don't think so. But to be fair, there are so many Catholic saints. There's probably a Catholic saint every day.
Yeah, one for every day of the year.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a running joke somewhere.
I have a joke, but it's highly inappropriate right now.
It's all inappropriate. Let's see here. Walter Sickert.
That name does not sound familiar to me at all.
He was a British painter. Yeah. I don't know why people thought he was a thing, but oh wait.
I'm just going to go out and paint in blood now.
No. Okay. So they kind of did the Bob Ross thing with him, and thinks that like his paintings showed clues of all the murders.
Oh, right. I forgot about that Bob Ross conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I'm going to. What was his name?
Walter Sickert.
Yeah. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Oh. Richard Mansfield, is he on your list?
No, like I said, I only wrote down the 2 because I was going full conspiracy theory, not individuals.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he was an American actor, a very popular one, and it just so happens that he in 1887 he went to London to he in 1887 he debuted as the titular role in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In August of 1888, he brought his play to London in the West End near Whitechapel.
And they figured he's a method actor.
He played that role for 20 years.
Yeah, that would probably ingrain into your head after a while that you truly are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Well, like, mind you, this is the beginning of it. He was so involved in it there that they they let him continue that role for another 20 years.
Yeah, we shut the play down 19 years ago, and is it time to act? Yeah. You're on stage right now. Just go ahead. Yeah, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, but like I guess his performances were so intense that people were like, he's proof that somebody can transform themselves.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, full on. Like, he went full on like Heath Ledger Joker for his performances.
Yeah, but he didn't win an Academy Award, now did he? Posthumously.
Yeah. I don't think anybody ever actually took that one seriously, though. I think that just about covers all of mine.
All right, and like I said, I went I found the most absurd one, and it's the blame and reason for everything.
Okay.
Aliens.
Okay, I want to hear more.
Well, it's simple. Aliens came down to study human beings, and they started ripping it apart and dissecting. Now,
so
like the individual. What's that?
So they picked the lower west end of London in a poorest part of the city to do it.
Absolutely, and like you said yourself, it could have been a disguise, going back to Jane or Jill the Ripper. Mm-hmm. And of course, then they take off for like 50 years and then start with the cattle mutilation. So I know
that's not one I'd seen anywhere, and I'm kind of regretting not knowing about it.
Reddit gets weird, okay? That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Reddit definitely gets weird. Wow.
But yeah, I think that about covers everything, literally everything. But something you don't know is I am an amazing sketch artist. I am amazing. So what I did was I scoured every description, every single thing that I could find on Jack the Ripper's physical appearance, and I drew him. This is the actual face and body of Jack the Ripper. Now, you'll see he's got a hat on because Jack the Ripper wears a hat, and he has a curly mustache.
Very nicely waxed.
And a knife.
Okay.
That all they had to do in 1888 was find a guy that looks exactly like this, and they would have found Jack the Ripper.
Hey, see, I think we can rule out Jill the Ripper right here because there's no curves to that at all.
It's definitely a man. If you'll notice the body in all the detail. And because he's 5'5", which is relatively short nowadays, he has short legs.
The short leg, long torso. He's Roger from American Dad.
Aliens! I tried to add some humor to the end there. Because that gets harsh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was a rough one.
But yeah, like I said, do not look up the pictures. But I think we're going to draw from a hat, as we do at the end of every episode. And if you have any ideas or anything you want us to cover, feel free to comment them below, and then we may add them to the hat. We might do an episode on them. I got my hat. And we're going to be doing, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be doing... the suspense. Oh, thank God. I was hoping it wouldn't be my third one. Stairs found in the woods.
In the woods, okay.
I have no clue what this is about, so I am intrigued.
So it's a little weird rabbit hole. You'll enjoy it.
I'm sure I will. But yes, thank you all very much for joining us tonight. And we'll see you all next time.
Hey, see you
Cheers.
guys later.